I'm here with Congresswoman Hegeman from Wyoming. Congresswoman, you just got out of a meeting on the weaponization of the government. Funny that that's what we're talking about. Tell us a little bit about what happened during that meeting.
So I am on the Select Committee for the Weaponization of the Federal Government. And today we were focusing on the manner in which the federal government is obtaining bank records on American citizens in violation of our Fourth Amendment. One of the things that we've been talking about with Joe Biden is that he is weak, woke, and weaponized. He has weaponized the government against us based on political beliefs. And you see it in the way that they have persecuted the January 6th defendants. There are so many other ways in which it has come to the forefront. The First Amendment is a huge one in terms of going after parents at school board meetings. There's a variety of ways in which the FBI is engaging in conduct that is absolutely contrary to the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. You could go on and on. Today's hearing was interesting because we were focusing on the financial side and the use of AI in searching bank records and things, and I think it's just a very important issue.
What exactly are they searching for? Do you know?
They're looking at people who are purchasing guns. They are looking at where people are located at any particular time. They're looking through our bank records. They're determining.
And let me interrupt. This is American citizens, correct?
Yes, it is. In fact, what I was focusing on is it has been exposed that the IRS and the Department of Justice have been using AI to look at bank records. In other words, to see what our pattern is in terms of purchasing things, going after gun purchases. There's a variety of areas that the federal government has been focusing on. And basically, I think what it comes down to is they're attempting to profile us so that they can categorize us and then determine whether we are domestic violent extremists, DVEs. That's something that they keep throwing out at people such as conservative Catholics. You know how they issued a memo to go after conservative Catholics. This is one of the mechanisms in which they're identifying people that they believe are extremists. But again, it violates our constitutional rights.
And I want to reiterate that the federal government is going through typical American citizens' bank records to try to label us, to later use that as a form to categorize us and ultimately use it as a weapon. That is terrifying to think. It's a dystopian society. It's an Orwellian society that you could say, you know, Joe Biden talks a lot about these MAGA extremists, but in reality, anyone who is a Republican could technically be considered one of these MAGA extremists and therefore a victim of none other than the Department of Justice.
That's exactly why they're doing it. Words matter, and that's why they're attempting to impose labels, because they're attempting to dehumanize us. And it's okay to attack us. It's okay to knock somebody's, Make America Great Again hat on the ground. This is really how government becomes tyrannical against its citizens. And it's why with the Bill of Rights that we have, the Constitution we have, our government should not be able to do this. And that's why we're having these hearings. We brought in experts from a variety of different organizations, including Jordan Peterson from Canada, to talk about what his experience has been living in a country that doesn't have a First Amendment or a Second Amendment or a Fourth Amendment or a Fifth Amendment. And he was able to bring a very interesting perspective to this. And I encourage people to go and watch the entire hearing. You can see it on the website for this particular subcommittee, for the congressional website. But what it really shows is that our constitutional protections are absolutely critical to pushing back against the power of the federal government. Yet the federal government is finding more and more and more ways to target us, to violate those constitutional restrictions, and basically to try to turn a certain segment of society into public enemy number one. Right now they're going after conservatives, but everybody should be frightened by this abuse of power.
I'm happy you said everyone should be frightened, because at first it'll be conservatives and then it's going to be a new group as well. I want to talk a little bit about big tech, because obviously they play a role in all of this. We've seen it with elections, obviously. Tell us a little bit about how big tech is playing a role in all of this.
Well, I think that all you have to do is look at what happened with the Google Gemini rollout from a couple of weeks ago. And we can laugh about it because it was so utterly and completely absurd. But what that tells you is that he who is in power power in the present can rewrite history. And if they rewrite history, they can stay in power forever. And so what has happened is that big tech has been conspiring with the FBI. They have been conspiring with the Department of Justice. They have been conspiring with the IRS to be able to develop these algorithms and develop this technology that allows them to, again, violate those foundational constitutional freedoms and rights that we have as bestowed upon us by our Creator. And so you look to Google, you look to Meta, you look to a variety of these organizations, these so-called private businesses, but they are being weaponized against the citizens of this country.
Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us, and please continue to tell everyone what's going on. Obviously, we appreciate it. We'd love to have you back on Real America's Voice, because this is serious stuff, and it's an Orwellian society that is no longer going to be fiction. Stick with Real America's Voice as we provide the latest coverage.